Just wondering what you thought of those comments. Do you feel that that is a sort of a bit of a mindset that teams to break out of a wee bit? Or?
Sort of my understanding was there's just not one way to score points. Sort of variation in what we can do to build pressure, kicking, other tactics that might work, and against the Argentinian team that were fired up, ready to defend anything, I think we could have been smarter.
What about you, Aaron? The same question. Do you think the All Blacks at times are guilty of playing the running game too much?
Yeah, I think the variety is key, but I think the mentality from our boys to want to be able to hold the ball, build pressure, use our attack. But as we see with the Northern Hemisphere teams and the teams so far in the Rugby Championship, it's been they want to give us the ball, they don't really want to play, and they're really attacking our breakdown. And so if you attack with the ball for a long period of time, you're giving them opportunities and they're taking them. So variation, that was something we looked at hard out in the review around we can still use our kicking game, use the ball to pressure teams and obviously turn them around, because teams at the moment are going 2 or 3 phases and then just kicking it because that's their tactic, and they try to punish us at the breakdown really, and that's what the Argies did.
Richie, what was your big takeaway from, I guess, you know, the players are talking about taking responsibility for your own self, being the first kind of step in the solution. What did you take out of that Christchurch test? How can you, in terms of how can you be better this week?
I think just nailing a few key moments in the game. Yeah, I think there were times we couldn't apply pressure because of errors, and that's just footy in a nutshell. That's really simple. You make a mistake, you hand the ball over. You're inaccurate, you're penalised, and I think accuracy is a really big one for us this week, and I think we didn't have a lot of that, or a lot of that together to have really good phases and parts where we were putting pressure on them. That's sort of my take on it.
In terms of the tactical game, do you take onus on that, because you know you are one of the leaders in that side of it?
Yeah, I do. I think technically we could have kicked more a little bit, but you look in those later stages of the game, we're in their half, firing shots, and they defended well and penalised for holding on or side entry, and there's not much else you can do apart from spread the ball a little wider, playing a little faster. But those are things we've been working on, and yeah, just really excited to have another opportunity.
Aaron, how do you change the mindset of a lifetime if you're talking about, you know, maybe not running the ball as much? Because everyone probably in this room that's played rugby, that's what they just wanted to do when they were a kid, get the ball and charge. When you get to this stage of your career as a professional player, how hard is it, if that is so ingrained, to have that time to pause, think, even though it's momentarily in a test match, to make those decisions, to fight an instinct, I suppose, to have a crack?
Yeah, I think it's key to be really aligned as a group around our identity is how we want to play, and it isn't trying to hold the ball for long periods of time if we're not going anywhere. And as a 9 and 10, we've talked about it a lot around trying to get to positions where we can turn them around, pressure them, and reading the situation of where the game's at, and then the sense of Argie weren't trying to win the game, they just were trying not to lose it. And they used their D for that, and we played into their hands in that sense, but there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of space to turn them around, but also around using the ball through wider channels, spreading them out. And when we were doing that, when we had the balance of playing in the front and out the back, having our good ball carriers bend them, because they're not coming with massive line speed like we faced with Ireland or South Africa, but they fill the field well and they tackle well, and yeah, so it's not really a point, but it's just more being really, you know, bulletproof clear on how we're trying to play, and when we lose momentum we need to turn them around, and where is the space, because there is plenty of space to be able to do that.
So is it more of a cerebral game from your positions as drivers? Is it more a mental side of things as much as it is physical, maybe compared to earlier on in your career?
No, I think any time you think about rugby and you've got the balance right or you get things right, it's around keeping your forwards going forward, and that's through kicking or passing and attacking and reading those moments where they've got a good thick line, there's got to be space in behind, and when they defend with 13 or so in the front line and they've got 2 guys in the bunkers, there's space somewhere. And as we saw with the Argies, they didn't go past plus 4 or 5 phases at all. So they don't want the ball. We need to be able to turn them around and make them play the game that they don't want to. And yeah, we just got to be better at the breakdown is the main one, and attacking together.
So given that those other teams that you have mentioned are having success, how confident are you that the All Blacks have got the right style and the right philosophy about playing rugby for this modern game?
I'm very confident in our team's ability. If you watch the first half, minus some of our discipline for offsides and that, which gave them points, we were dominating them. We were breaking them up. We were walking up the field through our phase play attack, and we're just unable to get over the line. But there's a lot of positives there in that first half around how we felt with the scoreboard and our own eagerness to want to get off the line or not get back, kept them in the game. And Argie weren't trying to beat us through their play. They just had a plan around attacking our breakdown. And they got a guy that can kick a ball 60 metres and he doesn't miss. And you know, history says that for us, that when our discipline's poor, we don't let many tries in, but we lose because of the pressure of the scoreboard of them being able to stack moment on moment through 3 points. And they're real gut checks. And then, so it's just around the balance of that. But I'm totally confident in our boys. Everyone's got the knives out, throwing them at us, so we don't mind that. The pressure we're putting on ourselves as leaders and as group, we're walking towards that.
Rich, just on that, I suppose, is it important for you guys as a group to reflect on that first half as much as it is what happened in the second half? Yes, a lot's been made of the discipline, but is it important to reflect on what worked well and the rewards you got in the first half where you were dominating?
Yeah, very much so. We, as Nagy said, we put a lot of pressure on them, and that was just playing free-flowing footy. And I think when we can get to that and understand when can we get to it, how, then we're in a good spot. But it's footy, it's not always free-flowing, so how can we put pressure on somewhere else? And I think that's a lot of the learnings that we took out of the game.
How's Joe been coming in charge of the attack? I know it's only been a couple of weeks so far, but how's his influence been on the attack side of things?
He's awesome. Yeah, I love him. I haven't met him previous before the ABs, but just love his different perspective, and it's always to have someone with a new fresh pair of eyes to explain things a bit differently. So he's added a lot to this group, and just look forward to working with him more along the way.
Aaron, for a team that's previously been renowned for its consistency, how frustrating is it to sort of become inconsistent as a senior player?
I think we're sort of stuck in the bottle of each week, so we're trying to always get better. And I think in the last month we've made massive strides through our defence. Our forwards have given us amazing platform through the scrum and the line-out. There's not much we can say to them. They're doing amazing work there. I think it's just the consistency of, we're chasing the 80-minute performance, and I don't think we've been able to hit. We sort of had great patches this year, and 20 minutes versus Ireland in the first game. Africa over there at Ellis Park, the last 10 minutes, the bench coming on, like it's in there. So that balance of our forwards giving us the ball, our spacks using it right, when we get our breakdown right, our D's in a really good spot. Teams aren't scoring many tries against us through just striking at us. So it's all there. It's just around putting it together, and we're working bloody hard. Like I said, the pressure we're putting on ourselves to get better is there, and it's coming, and we're just really excited about playing the Argies again. It's the beauty of the Rugby Championship. You get 2 shots of them, and they got the first one, and they're going to come to Hamilton, and we felt each other out for 80 minutes last week, so we're looking forward to another battle. And trust me, there's a lot of boys that are ready to play on Sunday to try to fix this and make it right. And to be given the opportunity again is bloody exciting.
Aaron, in your time playing in the Rugby Championship, is this the most competitive it's been across all 4 teams?
Yep, I'd say, well, results-wise, yep. I think definitely in the early part of the Rugby Championship was Africa and Australia, where it was whoever could get the 2 wins for another team, so there was always the odd split, win one, lose one, but it's going to come down to in the next few weeks. It's going to be very exciting, and the winner's going to come down to a bonus point or something, points differential, who knows, but it's really cool to see. But I think that's the stage of World Rugby at the moment. Every team in that top 10 rankings can lose and win, and that's the beauty of our sport. The levels just come so far, and there's no any easy wins anymore. There's none of that. It's just what team shows up, and when they show up, you've got to make sure your game's right where it needs to be.
You alluded to it just before, but do you almost look at this match as a do or die in a position that All Blacks haven't really been in a rugby championship before? Either of you?
Mate, we're All Blacks. It's always do or die. That's how we see the game. The pressure's to perform. Whenever you get given the black jersey, you have a huge role to play. The pressure's always on us. We know that, and and rightly so. We've got a rich and proud history as a nation and as a rugby nation, and we haven't been getting it right lately. And it's front of mind for us. And I can't wait. We're just going to focus on this game and get it right.
I know
One last one, please.
I know it hasn't been a long time since the 2 new assistants have come in, but do you feel like there's a bit of a step forward since they've come in? Either.
I've got a good view of the forwards and the work I see them do, and I'm around the line out and scrum a bit, and he's got them humming, and like I've said before, around the set piece, it's at a real scary place, which is pretty cool. Our maul in the weekend, being able to put the ball in your half at a scrum and just sit at the back and watch it get a penalty relieves pressure. So they've got another big shift, but the work Jace Ryan's doing, and then what Joe brings with his level of detail and intensity, it's just what we needed. It's been great, and Joe sees the game differently. He sees things that only Joe would see, I'd say, and reminds me a lot of Wayne Smith in the sense of his intensity and his level of detail, because if you don't know your stuff or your homework, he calls you out pretty quick. He asks you pretty forward questions around, what does this guy do here? What's the trigger here for the switch? If you don't know or haven't done your homework, get embarrassed in front of everyone pretty quickly. So he brings that without having to say too much either.
Has that been hard to get used to, Aaron, with Joe? And is he holding anything back as well? Because it's only been a couple of weeks and doesn't probably want to overload.
Nah, he's come in, and his first presentation was bone deep, very honest. But it's all things that, it's nothing special either. It's always just the little things, and the things that when you probably not have a break in rugby, but you think, it's not on me, or it's not a big, I can't really affect the play, stuff like that. But it's the stuff he does between the drills and comes over to you. If you did a little something in that, he'll hit it right then. But I think growing up, especially where we're at the moment, just telling it straight, fixing it right then, and assuming nothing. It's been great with Joe, and already seen it at training, even in walkthroughs and that, he chases complete detail every time, and that's it's been cool. And like I said, you got to make sure he's always watching.